From Achieve 3000, live in Seminole County, but excited to be here in Polk. And my goals during this quick training is for you guys to play for a couple minutes in the program, for us to go into your actual dashboard, look at the, we're gonna look at the tabs, we're gonna really look at the overview tab and just one report today, and then I'm gonna show you some resources that are in the program that you all might consider using in other places during your day. So I love kindergarten. That was but when I taught kindergarten way back in the day, I had a housekeeping center. Mm-hmm. So it looks a little different now, right? The expectation. You remember back then? Yes. I'm showing my age. So, but if we begin with the end in mind and we think about our, I have 2 high schoolers graduating this year, that goal of 1,300 Lexile, the work that you guys do with our kindergartners is just so important, right? And we have kids coming in at all different places, from your kids that are probably came with all their kindergarten skills, and then you probably have kids that are still have holes with their those pre-K skills. And that's what's nice about a digital program, is that when your kids are in, they're going to be at all different places, and you guys aren't going to have to manage the game well. And so where this won't take place of all the great foundational work that you guys are doing with your kids, this will be a nice complement to what you all are doing in the classroom. So when your kids, guys, everybody had their kids in? Have we had our kids into Smarty Ants yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when they got a little tour, you know what, don't worry about signing in. If you just want to write your email address right there. Oh, you already did. So
right here, they're signed into.
You're just perfect right now. Just hang tight right there, and then we'll go next. When you're I think she did it earlier, right?
No,
you put your number in, you put the number in, and you put your email address.
It's already in here.
Yes.
So I need to put it here.
Go ahead and write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could log
Yeah.
on. I don't have to
Go ahead and write it down.
watch.
Yeah.
I thought if you could log on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when your kids got in, they took a tour. They got their ant avatar. They adopted a dog. Yeah. Hopefully they were excited about being in, and then their ant avatar was brought to a pool. They got to bounce on the diving board and jump on certain things, and that's how they were placed into the program. If for some reason they didn't get finished, there was a fire drill, something like that, right next time they got on, that's right back where they went, right back. Yep. Back to the pool. And so that's how your kids were placed into the program. This is kind of a condensed scope and sequence here. So know that your kids could have entered into middle of kindergarten, end of kindergarten, beginning, even in pre-K, even into 1st grade. The only place in Smarty Ants where you actually have to start at the beginning is 2nd grade. 2nd grade starts at the beginning and they work their way through. So pre-K to 1st grade, those down and dirty foundational skills, and then when they get to 2nd grade, it makes a switch to more working on comprehension and fluency. So our claim to fame is that our kids enter into the program at their just right spot. They travel through lessons quicker when they're comfortable with the content. They go slower when they need more support. They go on this real personalized learning path where even when they miss something in the program 3 times, a personalized scaffold happens and they're retaught that skill. And then I think that it's engaging for kids because they have lots of choices and it feels like like they're playing, like they would play a video game at home. And their idea is that we always want to keep them in that zone of proximal learning. So Smarty Ants is kind of a no-brainer in your station rotation, because the kids love it. But my goal today is I want to show you where there are some resources when you think about pulling your small groups, some resources you might want to consider using in your small group instruction, or if you're working with your class as a whole on some foundational skills that you could possibly use it there too. So just a couple minutes to play, but if you go back 1 tab on the top to where it was portal.achieve3000.com, and this time go to the bottom right, and there it says Smarty Ants. So if you don't have the portal up, let's go ahead and pull portal.achieve3000.
In the window.
Go ahead and open up the tab. And you're going to go to Smarty Ants right here.
Logo.
And you're gonna
Up,
type in
up,
that
up.
username
Right
and password
there.
that I have on your table. Sorry, that username is my last name. Actually, you're going to launch the student program. Launch the student.
You're from the
Yep.
bottom.
Portal.achieve3000.
So you said launch teacher?
Student program.
Student?
Launch, yep. Launch the student and then put in that, sorry, it's D Herbet. That's my HERBET and then Smarty Ants teacher.
Got you through that?
Yeah. Just like here. Launch the student program. And then there's a little.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna watch. Watch your friend. That's her. You know what, if you muted it, you wouldn't know what they asked you to do, so you have to be able to hear.
I know what he said.
And I.
Click on the Start Game button to enter the Smarty Ants reading world.
These were on the finger.
Thank you for your help.
I got a coin.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a loud thing when they get medals.
Yep, they get necklaces and coins.
Leonard Explorer, Natalie, and Smarty Ants discover with Natalie. With letters find all sorts of different sounds. You can also uncover the letter sounds. Watch the scientists and play a game with our Please Go Next. Natalie, and check out today's game of the day. To score bonus coin.
So that was the daily look. That was a recap of what you did the last time you were in the program.
Hey, let's get warmed up. Here come the learning clouds. Let's check them out. Vowels can make different sounds. Today we're going to learn about short vowel sounds. And you have these. Use two, which make the sound. Remember, each time you click on the book, is. Check out today's game of the day to earn a bonus coin.
Right. So you could have practiced in any of those venues when you would have still you're going to still practice the same thing.
Okay.
And then that's a level of difficulty selector. So it's not how hard you're practicing, but the speed of the game and the number of distractors.
Okay.
So your kids who are still learning the mouse, easy would be a great pick for them at the beginning.
W's, which make the sound.
Even though it's saying T-O-N-O says T. The N, you say T-O says T. It says T-N-O says T.
Okay, I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Good job. Right. Warm-up time. Don't forget, if you want to skip, find the letter arrow out of the letter that makes the sound. There, I'm in red.
Is it T, right?
This is a sight word. Good
And
this
or
word. These letters make the sound
even they're putting a show and they say it.
I know one of my students kept saying, the F is saying S.
Click on a letter to hear its sound.
That's what he
What
kept saying.
sound?
He kept saying, I want to say it was the S. He kept saying, it says, that's not right. It says S. It says, and I said, are you listening? Yes. And he had tears in his eyes because he's so sensitive.
Oh, this is one of your kids. Oh, okay. All right.
When the kids kept coming over to me and saying, the F is saying, the F is not, does not say
In that last, you know, they were emphasizing it, and he was just picking up on that last
And
part.
every day that he would get on, he would come over there with just about tears in his eyes, telling me it's not saying the right sound.
Bless his heart.
And I was
All right, well,
like,
he's
"Are
gonna
you
go
hearing
move
it
past
right?"
that sound. Then.
I say it's okay, buddy. You know the sound with it.
That's right. That's right. All right, I know that was just a little taste, but I'm gonna go ahead and have you X out, and we'll talk about what you saw. So what was everybody practicing?
Words.
Letters and sounds.
High frequency words, okay?
Letters and sounds.
Letters and sounds. Okay, so we were practicing different things because we entered in as different kindergarten students. Let's talk about some of the things that we saw. So there was an activity board, and I know you had a lot of activities. And which activity did you pick?
The one that said it'd give me some extra coins.
Okay, that's right. You could have picked any, but you wanted the game of the day, right?
Yep.
And then over here, you didn't have as many choices. You just had, I think you had two. So know that you were practicing, and so you got to pick your venue to practice, and you had to complete something before you could move on in the game. Okay. So, and then you also, I don't know if you heard our conversation, but she also had a level of difficulty selector where it said easy, medium, hard, or practice. And so when your kids get that, know that that's not how hard they're going to practice. It's the speed of the game and the number of distractors. So your kiddos that are still learning that mouse in kindergarten, to have them pick easy for a while until they get real comfortable with it. And then, of course, you probably have some gamers that like things fast and furious, right? Okay, so they can pick hard. Let's see, and we talked about some rewards. You guys got some necklaces. I heard coins. Know that when they get enough coins, they get to go to a reward room. In the reward room, they'll get, there's some different activities as well as they can buy things for their ant avatar. But know that up in the corner, there's time ticking. They have a certain amount of time in that reward room. I believe it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds for your kids. And after, when the time ticks down, they get pushed back into the game. And so they'll get used to that, knowing that they have a certain amount of time in there. Also, there's print rewards that are super cute. I'll show you where those are today, and you guys can think about how you can use them, from most words built to most time in the program, most uppercase letters played. So lots of different rewards. We do have Spanish supports if you have anyone that would benefit from that. So the support would be that the directions are in English and in Spanish, and then the work is in English. There's also print resources that the directions are in English and in Spanish, but the work is in English. And then also, as kids travel through the lessons, there's an extra little vocabulary mode when they're in the Spanish support. And know that in a couple months, if your student doesn't need that Spanish support anymore, it's super easy to take away.
So
Okay.
how do we get there?
I will show you. Ren. Yep. All right. So there is a recording piece in Smarty Ants, and I'm hearing tomorrow I get to give the good news that you guys are going to get new headphones in your class that will have that recording. So that's nice. That's a great way for kids to be able to practice, and they practice saying it into the microphone, and then you're able to hear it. You can hear it. I'll show you where you can access that
See if
today.
they're actually saying it.
Yep.
Chase did it.
Yep, and then also within the program, and I don't know who, if it popped up for anyone, but there are some guided practice. The guided practice is done by Coach. He's the tutor ant in the program, and so the guided practice, he will teach something, and then he'll ask you to manipulate objects or possibly write letters with the mouse. So he'll ask you to do something with it. So as you were going through the lessons, you had a little progress bar at the bottom. Students are always working towards building a book. So in this particular lesson, we see that this student would work from letter sounds. They would work to go to word building, matching. They would build the first half of their story and then continue through the lesson, again, working on building that second half of the book.
Does the teacher see that? Do we see the icons, but do we see the words?
You will not see the words, but I'm going to show you where you'll be able to actually look where students have gone through the modes of the lesson, and you'll actually see where they needed support in the lessons. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, second grade looks different. They're working with pieces of text. This is Houndsley and Cantina, and they also work with some nonfiction text there too. So, you print out the story that they're working on? Yeah.
Can we print it?
Yeah. I'll show you that. So go ahead and this time go through ClassLink and go to your dashboard. And if you haven't gone through ClassLink yet to look at it, it's one of the very bottom tiles. It says Smarty Ants. Everybody find it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So right off the bat, let me say, if yours looks a little different than mine, if you have question marks here, that's because that student hasn't traveled through all the modes of one complete lesson, and we don't have the data yet. So if they're not up yet, they will be. If you have anybody who has question marks there. Okay. So let's look at mine. This is your overview tab. Will it be pretty colors? It's colored like a stoplight. Green, go, great. Yellow, just wanted to have, be thoughtful about. And then red, I want to take a deeper dive, take a deeper look. I've got my students, their grade, and this is their academic goal. The default for Smarty Ants, the academic goal is 1 academic year. So your kindergarten kids that tested middle of pre-K, we want to get them to middle of kindergarten. The other goal for Smarty Ants is end of grade level. So they test in the middle of pre-K. Our goal is to get them to the end of first grade. I can show you where to change that setting if you want to. It's done on a kid-by-kid basis. But where they test into the program from that assessment and the goal that you have set for them will dictate the amount of time that it's recommended that they spend in the program. So when I go to this next column here and it says time last week as recommended. So I'm looking at last week's time. Natalie here was recommended that she spend 1.4 hours on the program and she spent 0.5. Okay, so when we see red, what we want to do is we just want to be thoughtful. We want to think, what happened last week? Was she absent? Were we testing? Did we do a field trip or a hurricane? Think about last week. If we just see a trend from week to week that Natalie's always on red, I want to think about where's an extra time I might sneak her on the computer. Or maybe I want to see if I can get the parents to help us by maybe doing 15 minutes at home one day. Know that kids will go through ClassLink at home to get to Smarty Ants. So if we can teach them how to get through ClassLink, then they can access Smarty Ants. And the time that they work at home is merged with the time at school.
Good.
Okay? All right, if I keep on walking across here to overall lesson progress, I can see here, I'm going to look at Zoe. Zoe tested in at lesson 29. Right now, the way she's set, our goal for her is to get to lesson 66. She's on lesson 32 currently, that's in blue, and it's expected that she would be around lesson 39. I know that she's going to travel quicker through lessons she's comfortable with. She's going to go slower. She needs more support, so that's going to change from week to week. Again, I just want to look for trends there. I want to make sure that she continues to move, right? So a little trick that I've learned is right over here underneath overall lesson progress. If you go down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little gray toggle. You could almost miss it. If you click that toggle, what it will do is it'll organize your kiddos differently. It'll organize them by how they entered into the program earliest, like your pre-K kids. down to the furthest in the program. And so I just point that out because that's another way that we can think about how we might want to do some groupings for foundational skills.
It'll change us in now at the highest.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I keep on, well, before I move on from here, if you ever forget how to read these, if you go up here, there's some lesson keys. This one will show you how to read the time last week is recommended, and this is for overall lesson progress, so those are always there for you to glance at. This is the last time they logged into Smarty Ants. If they have recordings, they'll have it, it'll look like this, it'll say new. You can click on here and listen to your student. If it has a check on it, it means that you've listened to that one, and that's okay. You can click it again and listen to it again if you'd like. I'm gonna skip help, I'll come back to that in just a second, and I'm gonna go to print. So there is some print resources. This is where you mentioned the story. You can print the story that they're working on in that lesson, as well as there's a practice page. And these are going to be specifically based on the lesson the student's on. So those would be based for Natalie on lesson 31. For James here, it would be based on lesson 63. And then if they earned a print award, there's going to be a star here that you can click on, and you can actually, if you click print again, you'll see a print preview. So if you haven't clicked on those, to go ahead and take a quick look.
I have a question. Can
Yes,
the parents print those things?
So the parents, if they create a dashboard at home, they will be able to print those from home.
So
Yes.
can we get directions for them to?
Yes, how to set it up. Right, you're actually going to send them a link to
Okay.
set theirs up.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I sent to them how the directions how their child can go on, but I didn't know about that.
Their class will, even when parents set up their dashboard, their kids will still go through ClassLink.
Right.
But their parents
We'll
will
have a
some
separate-
some
Okay.
information for them.
That's cute. Look at this. It's a little lessons.
Yeah, they're cute. And then, like I mentioned, that would be the directions would be in English and Spanish if that student with Jose was set there.
He only speaks English. I'm in Spanish.
Okay.
He's learning.
All right. So now we're going to back up to that help button. So if you have someone that says help, go ahead and click on that. If you don't have anyone, then you can look on with a neighbor.
So you can see your help.
Okay. So when I click on help, it actually takes me to a report called the in-depth student report, or how are my students doing in specific areas. And so there's a legend here that'll tell you what all those pretty colors are. Red means that was a place within their lesson that they needed some extensive scaffolding. Yellow is some, green is little to none. Also, you might see someone who has gray in your boxes. The box is gray, and that means that they haven't finished that complete lesson yet. That's showing you where they are in the lesson. And so if you look at these boxes here, this is how the student traveled, kind of how I showed you on that progress report, progress bar. They went from letter sounds to word building to word matching, and this is how they traveled through the lesson. And where I see red is where the student needed some extensive support. And so we just want to, I can tell this student needed some support with rhyming. Again, this is just information for us to think about how we might need to help them individually or possibly with a group of kids. If I go down to the bottom and we look at where it says help here, what it did is it collected, for instance here, the words that were missed and collected them all in one place. If you haven't clicked on those, I want you to go ahead and take a look. We could pull our kids over to the computer, or even I could just look at that and think maybe I want to make some little flashcards. Also, there's some general resources. Some of these are on the overview tab, but I really like this interactive guided practice. This is where coach teaches the lesson and then asks the kids to do something.
Which make the sound. Remember,
So go ahead and click on a few of those if you haven't tried them. You would click start, yeah. You have to click start,
And
yeah.
it brings people around so we can have some.
I wonder if what was it, the P, because this P does sound like fuh, and it doesn't sound like fuh.
Let's see. Do it again. Let me hear.
It does.
Doesn't it sound like fuh?
It sounds like puh, but it could be.
Right,
Just
the
like-
kid.
I can see how
That may have
they
been
got
it, because
confused.
I kept saying, well, sometimes P makes the sound when it's PA. So I'm thinking, that's what I'm saying. It was the P. P, he kept saying, it's saying pho. P does not make the pho sound.
Right. I know the kindergarten teacher in me likes to keep it really tight, right?
Yeah.
Not to have the at the end.
Yes.
So I'm with you.
There's a speaker on the.
That could be too. Mine was good.
You can do the P. See what the P
Oh.
says.
I don't get a P.
Oh, you don't get a P.
My
one.
P is not there. He
All
knows
right.
his P.
So let's go ahead and keep traveling through the tabs here.
X.
It just keeps popping me out here. So go ahead and go to class reports. The class reports tab.
Top.
So while we're not going to go into a lot of the reports today, I do want you to know that those are there. We actually went to one when we went to the help button. Sorry, I'm gonna have to re-log in here. I'm not in here long enough. It kicks me out. When you get to the point, you've got some data, you're ready to look at some reports, know that right next to each report is a little video that shows you how to read each one. And one that you might want to look at are when you're thinking about what goal you want to set them to is how are my students progressing towards their personalized recommendations, and that'll kind of give you an idea of if you had them set to end of grade level or if you had them one academic year, how much time it would take, how much time it would recommend that they're in the program. But let's go to manage students. And so under recording, you guys will have, I would go ahead and leave them on, especially since we're getting our headphones today. This is where, or tomorrow, this is where your language is. If you click on English, this is how you would change it to Spanish support. A drop-down menu happens.
I don't know what you like.
We went to manage students. We're just going across the tabs here. So if you click on English, it'll drop down. You can change it to Spanish. And I would go ahead, if you have a couple students, you can go ahead and do that now.
When you said English, drop it to Spanish. Yep.
Okay. And then this is also where we can change it to their academic goal. Okay, just so you know where that is. If I click on edit at the very end of that row and I scroll down, I wanted to point out these two parts. This is on edit at the end of the row there. The Daily Wolf, you guys probably saw that when you were playing. That was the recap of what you did, that the student did the last time they were in the program. Parents can get that if you put their email address in here and add. They can get the Daily Wolf too. A great way for students to be able to talk to their parents about what they're doing in the program. We want our parents to actually create a dashboard. When they have a dashboard, they'll be able to see how much time the students spend in the program. They'll be able to click on help and see where they needed help within lessons. They also have some of those print resources. You would put their email address in here and confirm it, and you're gonna send them an invitation.
Where did you get that one?
Yep.
Edit?
I went to edit.
Oh,
Yep.
each person?
Edit.
One of the person?
And I
Oh,
and
okay.
I roll down here. So if we don't
Okay.
have parents' email addresses, that's something that,
Oh,
that
okay.
will need to get there. Okay.
Okay.
I'll also show you where there's a little video that you guys can educate yourself more on the dashboard. So when parents have questions, you can answer those. Okay. So I'm going to continue to go across here to the teacher's guide. Do you have a question? Do you guys have a
No, I was
question?
just asking
Okay.
if it's individual.
It
Yes.
is. You'd have to go to each one, and I think that's because some schools want everyone to have it. Some schools do it on
It'll
have it for
depend on
different parents.
too, yes,
Right.
the support.
Right.
So what we do is we put the email address in for each person individually, and then we print out, and they'll print out an invite.
So actually, you put their email address in, and you and it'll send them send them an
own
invitation, like a link. They'll send them a link in their email. And I think that Julie Noel is kind of that who's heading Smarty Ants for y'all. And I think that they're having a meeting today about some further instructions for parents that their kids, how their kids are going to log in, and about the parent dashboard. So that should be coming soon.
So we don't print out an invitation, they just receive it on their phone.
They'll
They
receive it
in
on
their
their email.
email. Yeah.
So we don't print them out.
No, there is a brochure that can be printed. You guys can read it if you wanted to let them know it was coming.
Because class does you
yeah.
can print out, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
With class does you can print out invites, that's the reason I was asking that question.
Okay.
Different
Yes.
program.
Let me
Yeah,
show you
different
where the
program.
brochure is, and yeah. Yes, ma'am. Do you have a question?
Yes, when they're in pre-K level, that means that that's where they tested. So they're
Right.
in that level. So if they went up to K, they could, if they go up more than K, is there another level? Did they go up to
Like she has a
first
child
grade
that
level?
says pre-K on their
Right.
file.
Yes. Yes. So, so if you have them set for one academic year, the goal would be to get them to the middle of kindergarten. But if that student, like, everything really clicked, and sometimes that
Yeah.
happens, right, for these kids, when you see that, you can set them to end of grade level, and then their goal would be to get to the end of kindergarten.
So we can change it ourselves.
Yes, ma'am. Right where you were managed students, you're just gonna click where it said one academic year and change it to end of grade level.
Okay.
What
Okay?
if we have some that go even higher than that? Would they be able to go into first or second if they,
Yes. Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But it would do it all itself.
Yes, I think that why we're setting this so it also is dictating the time that they spend.
Oh,
But certainly
okay.
they would continue to move.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
great.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on the teacher guide tab, and so there's some read aloud activities here. We're going to focus on interactive lessons. So if you guys will click there. Now, I'm going to show you in a second the scope and sequence. So you can use the scope and sequence to think about some small groups, what you're going to work on with small groups. You can also think about where you're working with all your kids with foundational skills, and you can look at what lesson that happens in Smarty Ants. So when I open this, I can pick that lesson. So why don't you guys just go ahead and pick a lesson, any lesson, and click go. Okay, click go. Now when you click go, you're gonna think nothing happened, but instead scroll down, and that's where it all happened, underneath. So this one that I happened to pick, I'm working on sounds. This is Y and Z, writing them, and the sounds. Here I've got some activities that I can use to support, again, my small group. I've got some guided practice, small group activity, multi-sensory activity, which is new to Smarty Ants since Polk had it a few years ago. Here are the print resources, as well as the interactive resources. So I told you my favorite are those interactive guided practice. What I can do is I can pick, here maybe I'll pick phonological awareness for long Y. It'll load, and I can play this for the kids. I can enlarge my screen, and then it'll be coach who teaches them, and then he'll ask probably for me to find some objects that start with the Y. He might even ask me to draw the Y.
Yeah, but you don't log in that way, remember?
So you're gonna go through your dashboard.
Click on the Start Game button to
Oh,
enter
you're
the
playing.
Smarty Ants
You're that student in the class. No. Just kidding. You're gonna go through your dashboard. We're doing the tabs on the dashboard through class link. Remember the
That
bottom
way.
tile?
It's gonna keep talking, so you might as well take that box out.
Right. And this is also the story video for the story that they're working on. So you have all those resources right there. Okay?
You guys can do a class lesson on your smartboard.
Yeah.
How long does it play? Like, can we have it for like a center? They do that while we're in a group?
Yeah, you can use any of these for power hour.
You could do that. I would look at preview the time though, because I
Okay.
believe it's going to be different for everyone,
Okay.
and it's probably not going to get you through an entire.
whole
You'd have to
lesson,
have
okay.
something for them to do
Okay.
with it then. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the last tab.
Oh, and the activities one?
which is the training tab. The training tab has everything you want to know about Smarty Ants. But I'm going to show you just a couple things that I think are going to be helpful for you guys to start. If you go to What is Smarty Ants over here on the left, and you go over here to the scope and sequence, which is the orange box on the right, and click the blue link, you've got here's where you would look for what you're working on in your small group or your large group, and you can find the lesson that it's being taught. You can also look where your kids are, what they're going to have next. It's color coded. So your kindergarten is going to be pink on here.
And then go in there.
Okay,
Scopes and sequence.
the scope and sequence.
And
Everybody
it starts
find
at
it?
lesson 3.
Awesome. So now I'm just going to hop back a tab, back to my dashboard. Another place that I think I would really use as a kindergarten teacher is this planning and integration. If you go there, and I go to the bottom where it says planning for hands-on activities. Do you guys find that? Click on that link, and this is where they collected all the multisensory activities and put them next to the lesson. So this way, again, I'm going to look on that scope and sequence, and now I'm going to come to this document and find that lesson. And I know you guys are like, rock the multisensory activities, but maybe there's going to be some new ideas, hopefully. What?
Finger paint.
Oh, okay.
No.
Double letters.
All right. So, all right, last but not least, this homeschool connection. This is where you guys can watch a little video on the dashboard. And then also over here is that brochure I was talking about, which you can choose in English or in Spanish. And it'll show parents what it would look like to set up there, what they would see. And again, they have that help button here.
Good.
They can print out some resources.
That's what I wanted.
Okay, awesome. Great. So I'm gonna send you guys an email, like thank you for coming, and then if you guys have questions, email me, and I can help. I also, actually at the bottom where it says FAQs and support, there's a number there where if you look at your data, something looks wonky, you guys can email or call support, and there are lots of really nice people that can help you with that.